Meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you please take a second, turn off electronic equipment as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please, Joanna.
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I'm here.
Why don't we do department head reports? And Ed, department head reports, would you like to lead off?
Okay. First item, the flood hazard reduction resiliency grant application. They're out there surveying the bulkheads right now. That's the one we're going to put in for the entire length of the Back Bay bulkhead from Coolidge to Decatur. So they're out there working right now. The environmental services, the underground storage tank stuff, the site investigation report's being completed. It's going to be forwarded to the DEP so that we can get that fee that we pay taken care of and get all those issues resolved. Okay, this municipal building here, Falaska came back and did another boiler cleaning. There's still some operational issues, and I'm setting up a meeting with Falaska CM3, Bradley Cianchetti, and my engineer, just to put this to bed. It's a tweaking issue, and it seems like when CM3 comes in and they tweak it, everything runs good. Falaska comes in, does their work, and we start having alarms. So I need to get all the people together and find out what they're doing, who's doing what, because everything is done properly. It's an operational issue. I have to see where the tweaking has to be. City Hall repurposing 1 South. Everything is progressing. They're not the fastest, but they are progressing. I think they were out there. They were doing some of the stonework today. I believe they were out there with the capping. So the emergency generators here. The project was complete. There was a flaw with the flywheel, the starter on the large generator. They are scheduled to be here Monday. It's a major repair. It's no cost to us. It's under warranty. So they should be, it'll be a couple days in repair, but they will be here. The 2014/15 road program, Harding Avenue from Monmouth to Winchester is base paved. Amherst Avenue from Harding to Washington, their piece was the utilities. That's done. Ferriazzi is now on our state aid project. They're doing concrete work, and they're moving rather quickly, which is good. Monroe Avenue from Monmouth to Winchester, the water main is in and complete. The storm sewer work is complete. Water services are complete, and the concrete work is complete. Baycrest and Baycrest Court, the water main is complete, storm sewer is complete, and concrete work is 25% complete. And Harbor Lane, the water main is under construction. And those people, it's a mess out there right now because there's the water table issue is very high out there, but the contractor's been moving rather quickly out there also. The beach access, the 2013 and the 14 beach bulkhead access projects. Frontenac Avenue is 95% complete, as well as the Jefferson Avenue. So we have 2 more beach access, handicap beach access in town this year. And attached to the report is a rather lengthy report on everything that's happening with South Jersey Gas. They're running around doing services now. Chief, I don't know if you have any more complaints at all with South Jersey Gas?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. They've lived up to their word at the last meeting. I've asked them to put together a schedule when they think they're going to be able to do paving. I haven't gotten that yet. I don't think they really know yet because there's a lot of summer people that they have not been able to get into the houses yet. And they can't do it until they get the services in complete. And that's my report.
Joe?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Mayor, thank you. Ed, I think we have to go back and address some of the cuts in the street because they're settling now. And
Yes.
I'm still not opposed to wait until after the summer season to pave because we're getting a lot of settlement in those ditches. And as we did with the last
Right.
7 phases, it worked out. We don't see any depressions in the street. So just, we're going to have to get on them, whether it's Kylie or ULS, Utility Line Services.
Surely.
Let them go through and start bringing them up to grade again, because especially when you travel Amherst Avenue, it's good for controlling speed, but it's tough on your cars.
What I'll do is have my inspector ride with the superintendent. We'll mark them all. There's some that are low. There's some are too high also. Now, they'll settle, but...
Yeah, I'm not worried about the high ones.
But
It's
the low ones
that
are
depressed.
Yeah, I've noticed it. I've hit a few of them myself.
Thank you.
And one more thing, and either Roger or I can do. We did go out. Roger crawled on his belly. Didn't have to go in the water. Did a nice report that I believe he sent to everybody
Yes.
on the condition of the storm pipe out at Lagoon Drive. And what we're looking at doing, we're contacting, there's a contractor, Joe Johnson has their name, that they dive and actually do repairs underwater. We're going to see whether we can do it that way first. Pack the joints, fill everything in, and if not, we're looking at probably in the fall having to line the pipe, do a slip lining of the pipe. We had 2 contractors out on site while Roger was inspecting it, to try to get a feel for cost. If it was an easy fix, of course, it's not an easy fix. It's not what we were hoping for. So we are progressing on that. I'm trying to quantify what this is going to cost us. But what's happened is if you haven't looked at the pictures, the first 2 lengths of pipe, it dropped. And it's like the bulkhead is held up at the end of the pipe, and then it dropped, and there's a separation. If it was at the top of the pipe, it would be an easy fix. It's at the bottom of the pipe. And then there's another sinkhole that is formed about 30 or 40 feet down that we're not positive what that was causing that, but those are the only 2 ways that we can think of to fix it, short of replacing the pipe and doing major construction.
I'm going to ask you to do one thing, and that's to keep the homeowner abreast of what's happening as we move forward.
What I'm going to do is I drafted a letter. It's being typed. I'm going to include a copy of Roger's report with the photos to both homeowners, Art Statler and the people next door whose name I cannot remember right now.
Good. Thank you. Anything else, Ed?
Something.
Anything else? Frank?
Well, I do have a question for Ed. Was that
No
okay?
questions from the right side of the table today.
Well,
Go
it
ahead.
all depends on which way you're looking at the table.
Okay, well, then we'll give you,
The generators,
Yes.
if you could find out if there's a way to have the generators contact people when they actually go on and off. There has to be some software built into these generators.
Oh, you mean when almost... it's like a SCADA system. There's a unit, it's called a verbatim, that we use on pump stations and equipment, and it's an auto dialer. As soon as it senses something, we can see. I could talk to Scalfo about getting a price to see if we could do that.
Yeah, because if we remember back when Jonas hit,
It ran all weekend.
nobody knew. Just so happened I parked on that side that morning and I recognized it was running.
No, I'm sure there's a mechanism. There may be a simpler mechanism than I'm mentioning, but we'll find out.
Okay, thank you.
Frank?
We've been very busy. We've been working on all the city properties, preparing them for the spring. We just got done mulching the parkway today. We will be finishing up the other properties next week. Tomorrow morning, we're going up to Ventnor. The county will be there. at the new pump station, and they're going to show us how to run the pump station, Margate and Ventnor. So I'm going up there with our 2 pump operators, and we'll be able to know how to run it. 10 o'clock. Okay, and we also have our eye on Sunday storm, which we always anticipate the worst. We will be ready if we do get any snow or heavy precipitation. That's all I have.
Thank you, Frank. Chief Tabasso.
Mayor, all is good in the fire department, fire EMS, and beach patrol planning for the summer season. That's all I have to report today.
Thank you. Lisa?
Good afternoon. I submitted a reimbursement request for the irrigation project on the Parkway that was recently completed to FEMA for, I believe it was $152,000, and hopefully we'll be reimbursed 90% of that. There's still a couple other smaller projects that I'm waiting to be closed out, but I'm waiting for a response from Ed to help me get those things closed out, and then we'll just be down to the one City Hall project from Hurricane Sandy, and I'm going to submit another request for reimbursement on that probably within the next week or so. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that the auditors will begin their audit for 2015 next week, so they will be in, and I have all the records ready and available for them. That's all I have.
Thank you, Lisa. Chief Wilson. Board Business Administrator Wilson.
From the business administrator side, everything's running smooth, and I'm happy to report that. From the police department side, I am ecstatic to report that myself, Captain Bergeron, and Lieutenant Cashin, who were my accreditation managers, we appeared in front of the New Jersey State Chiefs Association, State Chiefs of Police Association, Law Enforcement Commission last Thursday on the 10th for our final hearing regarding our accreditation, and subsequent to a short hearing, we were unanimously awarded accreditation. Finally, so that's over. Along dovetailing into that, they would like, the State Chiefs Association would like to come down for our meeting on May 5th at 5 o'clock to make the formal presentation. So I've tentatively scheduled that with them, as long as it's okay with the commission.
Sounds good.
Great.
Okay.
Other than that, everything's great.
Say yes. Thank you. Scott?
Mayor and Commissioners, we're moving forward with the subdivision application for those parcels along the beachfront. There's at least 3 beachfront owners are interested in or want to acquire those parcels and construct new bulkheads. Moving on, we, as you probably are aware, I know you're aware, but for the public's benefit, we had our pre-application conference. Commissioner Amadeo and myself drove up with Dr. Farrell. We met our grant acquirer, Jim Rottello, and we met with maybe a dozen state and federal officials. I can't tell you that it was a wonderful experience, but I will say that we're moving forward. And it's interesting to see the different agencies, how they jockey for jurisdiction and control, and can tell us all the many reasons why we can't dredge. But I think it was a step forward regardless. John, I'm sure you'll have some input on that. Senator Whalen also did call me today to say he's again had discussions today with Deputy Commissioner Kopcash, who has assigned Robin Murray from the D as an organizer to help Margate push forward on our efforts to get dredging along our Back Bay effort. And so I know he's on it, we're on it, Jimmy Rottello's on it, and maybe someday we'll actually be allowed to dredge our Back Bay, and then we have to figure out how to pay for it. As you know, we have some issues along Amherst Avenue, and I'm very happy to see Ed Wahlberg back in the saddle after an absence, and I know that we're moving forward. Jimmy Galantine has been in contact with Fulton Bank and the other fellow who owns Blue Water regarding repair of those bulkheads. I can't say they're repaired yet, and I don't know when they're going to be repaired, but I know they're getting attention, so we're pushing on that. And last but not least, I'll throw this one in there. I know that both Ponzio's office, I think Remington and Bernick's office, and even my son-in-law has marked to show us where 9 foot is
on our elevation for bulkheads. As you know, and as Ed knows, Margate's putting together a plan right now to go for that grant for over $3 million to reconstruct our bulkheading along Amherst Avenue. So as far as I know, we're making good progress in that direction. Yes, sir.
One question, and Ed's present. We have to have a discussion as along with the planning board. Their recommendation is to bring the bulkheads to elevation 9. Scott and I visited, your engineer was out there. I requested that he put some marks on the fence along all Amherst Avenue, which he was very helpful in doing. And we can plainly see where elevation 9 would be. It's just for everybody to understand, the bulkhead height would be right here if it was elevation 9. So if you were one of the vendors or one of our businesses along the bayfront, it does, even from the sidewalk on the other side, you wouldn't be able to see the water over the top of the bulkhead. So it's something we have to visit and establish sooner than later, because if we're successful on April 28th or 29th, whenever the grant announcement is, we're going to have it etched in stone. And after, I was definitely in favor of elevation 9, but as Scott and I walked it on Monday or Tuesday morning, I think that elevation 8 would be good enough, because a lot of that bulkhead's at what, 5.5 right now?
Under 1988, some of it's at 4.5.
Right.
So
8, that brings it up another 4 foot.
You look at Washington Avenue. The fact is, I think there's a mark there now. And so by the next meeting, but if
Everybody should go and look at
take
it.
a look at it and get your opinion. Even the planning board, maybe they should look and see, so they understand why maybe 9 might not work in some spots.
So the benchmark is there, and it'll be helpful so that we can,
Right on one of the columns, going out only here, wooden columns. We don't want to mark on the final fence. They put a little black mark.
Yeah, they just put a dot and an orange ribbon. And one of the light standards is marked.
And again, I know the planning board's put a lot of effort in this, but I know Ed Wahlberg put a lot of effort in this a few years back too, and I think maybe you want to have an ordinance that gives you a range. Because I know the elevations on, say, Bayshore Drive is much higher than it is on Amherst. So a 9 or even 10-foot high bulkhead on Bayshore Drive makes a lot more sense than maybe it does in a lagoon or Amherst. It has a long impact on the city, and we got to do it right. So however that works out. But we're making progress.
And for the public, you too could, go out and the bulkheads along Amherst Avenue are marked to height at 9 feet. Look at it, and if you have any input, we'll be back here in first meeting in April. Johanna.
We have scheduled the rabies clinic for May 7th at Station 1 on South Washington Avenue from 10 until noon. The firefighters will be there to help us set up and make sure dogs don't attack anyone.
10 to 1, you said?
10 to noon.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Johanna. Roger 1.
Where is he? Good evening, Mayor. As you have in front of you is a proposal from Bill McLeod's Architecture for conceptual purposes to repurpose this building that we sit in. I would suggest that the price is fair, and we should award that by resolution at the next commission meeting if you agree. And the second item is I want to thank the cooperation of the fire department and Remington and Vernon for our fun day in the bay yesterday. I think we accomplished what we set out to accomplish, and we're getting the ball rolling on that. There's some Lagoon Drive. Going back to the bulkhead height, I can see the purpose of elevation 8 being warranted. However, we have before us an ordinance ready to go and be revised and adopted, which we can still go back and revise and get consent from the planning board, but I still think we ought to move ahead. You can always get an ordinance for the bulkhead height, but we can always adjust that too. But there's other things in the ordinance that should be implemented as soon as we can. My opinion, Sandy was elevation 7.25. Having a bulkhead at 9 is probably overkill. It's one way to look at it.
Say again?
The water elevation of Sandy was 7.25. The bulkhead height at 9, it means it's going to be 1.5 feet higher, almost 2 feet higher than what the highest elevation we've ever seen here. So maybe 9 is not the answer, and maybe set an elevation of 8 as a minimum, but allow higher. Right now, it's elevation 9, that's it, not higher, not lower.
Okay,
Just as a suggestion.
good point. Anything else, Roger?
I'm finished, thanks.
Fred?
I have nothing to report on at this time, thank you.
John? Do you have anything?
No, thank you, Mayor. I'm good.
Maury?
All good.
I have one thing. I'd like to congratulate the Thai School Fin Club for the second year in a row. They've won the competition, and that's great for our kids in our community. So having said that, we'll open for public comment. 3 minutes on any subject that was discussed here today. Good job.
Stephen Altman, 9003 Amherst Avenue, Margate. First, let me say that I know nothing about what I'm about to say. With the flooding, with the flooding throughout the South, there was a news clip of people making preparations, evacuating and that sort of thing. And in the news clip, they were elevating steel bulkhead, I don't know what you would call them, but they were metal sheets that were attached to bulkheads that they then pulled up into position as the river that they were showing was rising. And I wondered whether anything like that had been explored and or would be of value in Margate, in the Back Bay, for example.
Ed, can you respond? It's money.
Comes out of cost.
Do anything with the dollar.
Not much with it.
It's, I mean, anything's possible, and I have looked, after you had mentioned that a while ago, I went online and looked to see who was doing that. It's just so cost prohibitive, it's ridiculous, yeah.
Would be useful in areas like at the end of Washington Avenue, where you're debating whether to have 9 feet or 8 feet in height. Would something like that be feasible for a shorter distance than the whole?
It's also, it's difficult, and I'll talk to you later about it and explain.
Okay.
It's a difficult, any structure like that is extremely difficult to implement along a waterfront like ours, where we have marinas, buildings, structures, piers, so. But I did look into it the last time you mentioned that. I guess it may have been after Sandy, and it's a very costly proposition.
Thank you all.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Mayor, following up on the city solicitor's comments about the Back Bay dredging, where he made an aside to figure out a way to pay for it. Now, is there a cubic yard cost by which we will not proceed in your mind, solicitor? This seems like a pig in the poke.
It's a little early for that answer. I'll even turn it off and save your time.
Well, at what point would you proceed? When the homes along the bay drop in value by half or 3/4? When would it be worth our while to pursue the dredging? When would we do that?
I say we do it by referendum. Let the voters vote on it and see if we get a Longport type vote on it. Following up on Roger Chu's comment about the 7.5 during Sandy storm, might we take note that but for the fact of a sharp change in wind, the heights could have easily gone from 7.5 to 9 plus. I see no problem with the 9-foot height, and I think it should be mandated and stipulated as such. And for those businesses that want a better view of the bay, a cost-effective promenade type of boardwalk could be put up where they could go up and look at that bay to their heart's content. So I strongly urge this commission to stick with that 9-foot height to ensure the maximum protection. Although I'm not a global warming person, I still believe that you can have another Sandy storm. And granted, it was a once in 200-year storm, but a once in 200-year storm can come after 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years. And I think that type of exposure, if we do indeed get a 9-foot bay surge, those businesses will thank you sincerely for the protection afforded by a 9-foot bulkhead. I don't think we should back off from that number, despite the hue and cry from people like Berber. Thank you very much.
May I respond?
You may.
It's very important for the public to understand some critical factor, and I have two engineers sitting at these tables. If we have a 10-foot high bulkhead, a 12-foot high bulkhead, you will still have flooding. Water will go to whatever level the tide takes it. So what you're saying, and what you have to think about is it worth having, let's say it's 6 feet above Amherst Avenue, where you can see nothing. Atlantic City Boardwalk comes to mind, but that's another issue. That street is still going to flood the same amount regardless of the height of the bulkhead. Mr. Wahlberg or Roger, am I wrong on that?
No.
So if the street is going to, if the area is going to flood anyway, then you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of the bulkhead? You know what the purpose of the bulkhead is?
Prevent a damaging surge.
Well, waves on the ocean front, yes, but if you don't have the fetch, as you do, say, at Bayshore Drive, the possibility of that wave is minuscule versus
See, with your rationale, you're going to get flooding anyway. You might as well leave it at 5 foot or 4.5
no, because
See,
you have
if you're
to
saying that
protect your
it's better to go from 4.5 or 5 to 7 or 8, well, you're only talking a matter of inches. You might as well go the whole 9 yards.
It depends on location.
Well, once again, I don't think that commercial considerations should be paramount. I think they should be weighed and balanced. And I think the 9-foot height would assure better protection against a wave surge. That's it. You can disagree with me if you want.
But you agree that we will have the flooding?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, there we go.
Absolutely. No question about it.
We actually have a point of agreement.
Yes. Very unusual.
Write this down. St. Patrick's Day.
Any other public comments?
Solicitor, it's not only St. Patrick's Day, it's the 100th anniversary of the Easter Uprising.
It's that too.
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner. I'd like to weigh in on the bulkhead matter. When I was talking to Mr. Ponzio at the last meeting, he said that the original recommendation was 10 feet, and they didn't. The planning board didn't like it, so they dropped it back to 9 feet. I'd have to agree with Mr. Sewell's observation there. If it doesn't matter what the height is, and just leave it what it is now. You know, I think that 9 feet is the best height, and we have to think of this overall safety, possibly some sort of pumps or something. Of course, there's going to be flooding. There's flooding here when it rains, so there's nothing new about that.
But I think we have to look at the long-term safety of the island and the integrity of the city and plan out 10, 20 years. You know, what are we leaving the city for our children? Something that's just going to flood because somebody doesn't want to look up another foot? I think that's important. Also, I'd like to make a comment on the City Hall, where I see that almost $2.4 million has already been spent there. And this is an area that's will make, what, 3,500 square feet, possibly? I mean, it's not that big. That comes in at maybe $700, $800 a square foot for the work that's been done there already. I'd like to know just what's been done there for this money. It seems to me to be outrageous. And I'm glad that it's, that the taxpayers aren't paying it, but still, what's being done, and it's taken forever to get it done. It's an outrage. And you could have built that whole building from scratch for that kind of money. Great, it's a historic building, but it's a building that's going to flood again, in 5, 10 years, whatever, and be ruined again. So I just think there should be a little clearer how we're spending this money. It just seems like there's no end to it.
That's true.
And what's the accountability? Where's the accountability? When I go in to do a job, I can't just keep adding and adding and adding. It's a figure and that's it. And there's also a time frame. And I don't see any time frame either. It's going on forever. So I'd like to see it wrapped up. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any other public comment?
I'll make a motion, we close.
Second?
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo, Commissioner Blumberg.
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo, Commissioner Blumberg.
Yes.
Thank you. We will begin promptly at 5.